Thank you for joining us here today. I'll be your moderator for today. My name is Ed Pyle. So joining me today on the panel are Christian Browne, a director at Humo. I'm hoping I get the name of your firm right, Christian. Yep, seeing a nod. Mike MacNaughton, a managing partner with Twisted Pair Productions, and Mohammad Khalkhali, who I will call MK for the rest of the session. That's his preference. Data science and analytics team lead from EHS Analytics. So welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'll get everybody warmed up first by just asking everyone on the panel for a brief reflection on the topic of next level technology and what that means to industry right now, or what people need to know. What's your reflection, and what's the most critical thing people should learn? Mike, I'll start with you.
Well, okay. Thank you, Ed. Great to be here today, and really looking forward to this panel. I think it's very, very interesting. So our company has been, over the last number of years, really exploring and building out systems in virtual reality and augmented reality. Initially sort of in the entertainment and the museum interpretive center area, and now much more so now in training and simulations for training and that sort of thing. Lots of times in the construction industry, but other industries could use this technology as well. We found that the cool thing about it is nowadays you can get very, very immersed into different environments. We can place people on construction sites. We worked with SCSA a couple of years ago, created a hazard ID application where we would place persons right on a construction site. Everywhere you look is a construction site. You need to identify various hazards, and you're scored on how well you did identifying them, then also mitigating them. So those kinds of things are going. I think the industry is becoming more and more and more immersive. The technology is becoming less and less cumbersome over time. We're now in development with SCSA on a couple of other applications with new headsets that allow what's called 6 degrees of freedom, where basically you can not only look everywhere, you can also physically walk around in a space and have the entire world around you track that and match you as you walk around. So again, it just enhances the realism and the immersiveness of the technology, and makes it much more believable for users as they begin to learn all these various things. We've worked with SCSA, as I said. We've worked with SAS Polytechnic, with Saskatchewan Mining Association, building various projects right now. And it's really amazing how even over the last 2 years, how the industry has changed and become way, way more accessible and way more, and quality level and ease of use is unbelievable. So looking forward to discussions with the other colleagues on the panel here. We had just a brief discussion yesterday in advance of this, and the data that these guys are coming up with is really going to be able to enhance what it is we might build and why we might build things. So hopefully that does it, Ed.
Great. MK, over to you for a reflection.
Well, Ed, I think that my best reflection would be to give a short introduction of our company and who we are, where we came from, what we try to achieve in the future. EHS Analytics was built based on our founder's vision to utilize multi-organizational environmental health and safety data to eliminate serious workplace injuries and fatalities. We first hatched this idea in 2015, when even thinking about putting your company's data in the cloud was scary enough, let alone being part of the industry data set. We took a gamble on this avant-garde idea, I believe, but it worked out. And that from then, taking on big challenges became the culture of our company. To be fair, we owe many of our successes to forward thinking safety associations like SCSA, which saw the benefit in our mission. So why is what we do relevant and necessary? First, injury rates has been stagnating since 2010. We all know that serious injury and fatality rates are not going down much, and in some cases they're even climbing. Most of our organizations are simply record keeping and not unable to do much with that data and find answers. All that valuable data sits fallow and siloed. And it's clear to us that the answer to moving the needle on serious injury and fatality reduction requires data. Lots of data that comes from collaborating and centralizing at the industry level. We worked hard to build a bulletproof security system for our data hub. Our data hub is physically located in Canada, is cloud-based, is equipped with the highest cybersecurity controls. Another key factor in our vision was to be able to import all types of EHS data into our data hub to involve all types of organizations. And an organization's EHS data might be stored in a document management system or saved as a spreadsheet or even sit in a big cabinet full of thick, dusty folders. This was a major barrier towards our goal of centralizing EHS data. So we rolled out our sleeves, got to coding, and built one-of-a-kind integration system that is a gateway to EHS analytics heaven. Today, our integration module is equipped with AI tools that enable it to comprehend EHS data and in many formats. We didn't stop there though. We used the knowledge we accumulated working on different EHS data types and have built revolutionary tools that can record and store the EHS data in the most efficient way ever. Well, one of our latest products that is kind of my baby and I'm proud of it is called ADA, which stands for EHS Incident Description Analyzer. It is a AI tool, an NLP-based tool that is capable of recognizing and comprehending incident descriptions and extract relevant EHS attributes from them. We are integrating ADA with our mobile app to build a unique feature that lets field workers to focus on describing an incident as soon as it happens on the field and let ADA to fill out those elaborated incident report forms for them. What about this as a next level technology in the workplace? I think it's a good example. But building a centralized industry level EHS data hub sounded like a dream 6 years ago, but here we are with a fully functioning data hubs for multiple industries in Canada. SCSA is a good example to showcase the benefits of data hub. SCSA and its member now benefiting from our data analytics tools that provide real-time analytics at the industry and member level. Having access to the clean, centralized data in our data hub, our data science team was able to perform multiple research projects in a very time-effective manner. The research project that would take years for research institutes to finish. That is not the end, though. To be part of the big change in the workplace safety, we are using our data hub research results and brilliant brains in our data science and development teams to build AI tools that can predict the risk of serious workplace injuries. As Ed mentioned at the beginning, it sounds like a mission impossible, doesn't it? But well, I'm glad to let you know that it's already been developed, implemented EHS in EHS analytics, SCSA dashboards for members and executives, and it is a big step forward toward the safety 2.0 that we are trying to achieve. The EHS risk analyzer is a living example of what we can achieve in improving workplace safety by collaborating and sharing the EHS data. Yeah, I think that's it for me for now. Should be good.
Thanks, MK. Christian, your reflection.
For sure, I'll chime in here. Thanks, Ed, for the introduction, and thank you everyone for attending today's panel discussion. My name is Christian Browne. I'm an advisory director at HUMO, a health and safety wearable technology startup based here in Saskatchewan. We use actionable insights from data that is collected from sensors to help reduce musculoskeletal injuries in the workplace. First of all, before I start, I'd like to thank SCSA for inviting me to participate in this panel discussion today. I remember attending this conference a number of years ago, and it's an absolute honor and pleasure to be speaking to all of you virtually today. I first met Colin back in 2014 when I was working with Energy Safety Canada, and instantly noticed the digital transformation that was taking place at the SCSA. And it's been exciting to see the organization embrace technology and now be a leader in helping shift the industry to the next level of digital health and safety. So I guess, my reflection will be a bit of a high level industry perspective. Safety has been a major concern for the construction industry. It not only results in huge losses and extra costs for the companies, but also results in many injuries and deaths of on-site workers. So the statistics clearly suggest, how the industry struggles when it comes to addressing this issue effectively. There was a report that was released actually by the University of Regina and Dr. Sean Tucker, and this was called the Report on Work Fatality and Injury Rates in Canada. And there was just over 1,000 casualties across all provinces and territories back in 2018. And construction was the deadliest industry. And what's more scary is to think the situation used to actually be even worse 20 to 30 years ago, where worker safety was many times an overlooked aspect of a project. But however, things are changing. Technology has made construction sites safer and workers more efficient. It's allowed us to increase productivity and improve collaboration and tackle more complex projects. If you're a construction professional who has been in the field for decades, it might be tough to imagine the day when previously novel wearable technology, such as a Fitbit or an Apple Watch like this one here, could be the norm at your job. But what I sincerely believe is that these smart construction wearables will become essential pieces of equipment to safely perform jobs in the near future. It's fascinating to see how quickly improvements to wearable tech in the construction industry have come about. The tech companies developing these innovative construction wearables are including features with cutting edge technology to enhance everything from work boots to hard hats, right up to safety goggles. And smart equipment that's compatible with larger IoT networks is ultimately aimed at improving worker health and safety, and also productivity. And so when I say IoT, I'm really talking about the Internet of Things, which describes a network of physical objects that are embedded with sensors and software and other technologies for the purpose of connecting and exchanging data with other devices and systems over the internet. So day by day, the world is becoming more technologically advanced, and IoT continues to improve and evolve. The revolutionary future, I think, of construction wearables and other devices is quickly, really becoming a reality. And as MK, mentioned, this isn't something that we're looking at, 10, 15 years from now. This has already been implemented in industry. And, standard safety equipment will soon be highly technological interconnected. I think these wearables have a chance of being quickly integrated and possibly even mandated in the not so distant future. IoT and wearables, enable remote monitoring of employees and machinery. And so this promises significant enhancements in worker safety. I think, most people as of today, IoT wearables mainly, they think it's meant for monitoring health, maybe your heart rate or the number of steps that you might be taking. That's really not the complete picture. There's more to the application of wearables. They can collect critical data on employees, workers' working conditions, health, and exposure to risks. This data can be analyzed to get actionable insights and then also enhance employee and well-being. So kind of quickly give you a brief summary of what we do at Humo. So in our case at Humo, although robotics have taken over several physical lifting tasks, workers are still required to lift some heavy objects and transport them. So lifting these objects can cause intense strain on body parts such as your hips, lower back, and arms. And so wearables like Humo can identify which body parts are strained the most when lifting these objects. So this device can be easily clipped to a worker's uniform, The device monitors the motion of the employee while lifting and detects high-risk postures. It can provide real-time feedback and send alerts to your worker, and whenever a high-risk posture is detected. At the end of a shift, a custom report is generated that provides data insights to both the worker and the supervisor. So, organizations can also leverage, wearable technology to streamline their training and make it more efficient and tailored to a specific employee. I really believe that wearable technology will also boost performance, and improve employee satisfaction, and also increase knowledge retention amongst your workforce. So, that's my my reflection on wearable technology and next level technology in the industry.
Yeah, that's great, Christian. Really appreciate your observation. What we've been finding more and more is, again, people are may think their first encounter with VR was a game, or their first encounter with say data analytics would have been backward-looking reports. We're now in a world where we can be forward-looking and predictive, and I think that's a shift of mentality that people are perhaps not used to. And Mike, on your side, the VR side, we've got a number of insights that tell us people can not only visualize what they're training in by using VR, they get access to huge varieties of images, a 3D experience. Their training is not only something applicable in the classroom, it's something they will know how to apply the second they hit the job site. And that wasn't the norm right away, and we think that'll help down the road. So I now have some questions we had pre-submitted from the audience, and I'll get right into them. What is the most critical change you see businesses having to make as far as advanced technology goes in, say, the next 5 to 10 years? MK, I'll start with you this time.
With the current encouraging industry trend of embracing technology, I believe it would be much better reporting and will lead to improve decision making in the near future. I think everyone will start seeing the benefits of collecting high quality HS data and sharing them, coming from wearable technologies or from reporting near misses or not time loss incidents, all the things that can contribute to lower the chance of high risk serious injuries. The result will be establishment of the culture of reporting. We have amazing tools at our disposal that can implement big data and make real changes. AI can help us to understand and identify risks more effectively. It can also help us to trim the amount of work we do for safety. That's the important thing. Like, stop doing redundant tasks and build more effective regulations, policies, audits, and trainings. A good example of this is our recent study on the core, when we studied different elements of the core audits in a Saskatchewan safety construction. And then we actually found that some of the elements are extremely correlated with the lower time loss injuries when the firm gets the higher score in those elements, and the others are not that much effective. 12 the elements that added by SCSA actually showed up in the top 7 most effective elements. This highlights the value of the knowledge in the field, and also possibility of having an adaptive core, which can change based on properties of the individual firms or collective of firms, and we wouldn't notice without having this overarching data set of the industry. So more data reporting, will contribute to things like this that make us that will help us to be more effective, not only to add on to what we already have, but also trim what we're already doing to be more effective.
So better reporting leads to better decisions by managers, which should lead to improved safety and improved financial outcomes.
Exactly.
Right. Christian,
Yeah, I'll chime in here. And MK, that was a great point. We all had a kind of an early discussion yesterday regarding this. And so when I was working out in the field with Energy Safety Canada, a lot of the data was very reactive instead of being proactive. And so I think predictive analytics, especially in the safety field, will be something that, companies will be embracing over the next few years. And again, when it comes to WCB data, if you really want to make a change and really get those injury numbers down, you have to have those preventative solutions in before those injuries happen versus a year or two after the injury has already occurred. So again, I think predictive analytics will be the future. Well, it's already the future, but will be more widely used by organizations across the sector.
And Mike, could you maybe give your reflection on that?
Yeah, I was, in thinking about this a lot over the last little bit, I think the big thing is, and you probably wouldn't be at this little seminar here if you weren't already involved, but I still think there are a fair number of companies who are, much more sort of old school. And I think that if there's anything you got to do is you have to start right now. Well, even years ago, you should have been, but if you haven't started, you need to start right now. You need to get on board with this technology stuff. It is just unbelievably important, not only from a financial perspective, from a operational perspective, from a compliance perspective, from a liability perspective. Like, it's just unbelievable. We wouldn't think of putting someone on a job site without, even some sort of initial safety training today. Well, that's just going to get more and more advanced as time goes on. And if you're, you got to love some of these old school guys, but I mean, if you need to get on board with this stuff, and you need to embrace it, and you need to understand it, and you need to accept it and get going on it. And I think that's really crucial.
So switching hats for a minute there, Mike, from your role as a subject matter expert in VR to your role as a leader in the community, what do you think is key to turning around some of those old school mentalities?
I think part of it is just the progression of time and the progression of people and that sort of stuff, sort of as, some of these, and I hate to say it's not necessarily age related, it's more mentality related. You can have, really old school 30-year-olds and really, really advanced thinking 60-year-olds and everywhere in between. So I don't think it's that. I think it's really much more of a mentality that if you want to survive in this business, if you want to thrive and grow your business, these are things that are just absolutely crucial. And I think just from a leader's perspective, it's tone at the top. It's you need to, as a leader, you need to get involved and you need to embrace this. And we just did a big project for it's a big Saskatchewan mining company. I won't name names or anything like that, but huge project on their whole digitization strategy, how they are going to really embrace digital technology all the way from AR to VR to video conferencing to all that sort of stuff. I mean, you look at what we're doing today. I mean, who would have thought, 18 months ago, we would even consider doing something like this? And the pandemic has forced a lot of this kind of stuff to happen probably way faster than it probably would have happened anyways, but it just has really accelerated all of this technology to the point where it's absolutely crucial now.
Thank you. Christian, you've worked as a consultant to a number of firms, and I think you have a strong understanding of liability. Thinking about how turning around those old school people who haven't learned appreciation for technology. What insight can you offer?
Yeah, for sure. So, having that resistance, I think that's something that I faced in my safety career since day one. And to be blunt, I mean, I think a lot of it, it's the way that our society looks at risk. And there's different approaches that you can take on this. One approach we'd use is, do you have a family at home, right? Do you have grandkids? Do you have children, right? If something happens to you at work, that directly affects them, and that also directly affects your relationship with those people, right? And I would see behaviors change quite drastically because of that, right? Like I said, again, going back to a back injury just doesn't, stop hurting you when you leave work, right? It actually does, when you go home, when you're playing with your children, when you're playing with your grandkids, you won't be able to have that quality time like you used to before the injury. So I think that's a tactic that I've used a lot. Another tactic, so this is again for kind of senior leadership of organizations, is ROI. And I'll speak to this a little bit later, but ROI, from the financial aspect of health and safety, injuries can cost a ton, right? And a lot of business owners, when they're getting to business, they actually don't calculate or keep account of all that, right? So making sure that senior leaders of organizations understand that an injury can cause quite financial burdens on an organization. So
That's interesting. And Christian, your sharing of stories, your advice to share stories, I think resonates quite well. And MK, I'll ask you, what would your advice be to a leader who is trying to make something as kind of cerebral as big data or advanced analytics relatable to a business that may be focused on building or focused on operations?
The first thing that comes to my mind is we all need to embrace technology now. There's no way around it. And that is clear to all of us. The next generation is going to be much more tech savvy, and the big data and AI is a big part of the future. But the other thing that is, I think also is important is we need to change our way of thinking about technology. Technology is not all the cool tools that we have in our disposal to do or to use for things to make like a different task easier for us. Also, we need to think of it as a new way of thinking, new way of decision making, or new way of even living. If an organization swaps its old dusty big file cabinets with the big dusty digital file cabinets, they're not gonna gain much from all those amazing tools. But if we can just utilize that data, get things that we could not do not a while ago, and now we have all these amazing tools at the disposal that can utilize that data and benefit from it. That is the big picture. And I think for the workers in firms, the main thing is workers are smart people. The people are getting more and more educated. It is not easy to tell them to do something that you cannot justify well with. And data is the big tool in this area. If you tell people what they're taking some trainings or what they're following some policies, if you explain to them and show them that is supported by data, that's going to work much better and much easier. As Christian mentioned, also at the leadership level, ROI is a big thing. A leadership wants to see that they gain money from whatever they implementing or whatever money they put in the business. Data can show that. We can clearly now see that following safety is not, it is important, it saves lives and the health, but it's also has a real ROI. There is a real ROI in following safety and sharing data, safety data with others.
So, MK, what if I were a firm and I was looking to dip my toe into the world of analytics? What advantages does sort of a full analytics suite with predictive analytics offer over something like the spreadsheets and Excel that people are used to using?
The main thing is you have the data in a available in a real time. Spreadsheets won't give you predictive analysis. A spreadsheet needs more work to be done on them to extract valuable data out of them. But when you have a centralized data at industry level, which you not only have access to your own safety data in the real time, you also have access to other firms' experiences and other people's experiences in this. There is a knowledge gap in the safety, and it only can be filled with the industry level data. One firm just simply does not have enough knowledge to fix all the problems. Industry needs to start sharing, collaborating IHS data, and understand that collaboration on this will benefit everybody. So many things that we can achieve right now with this kind of looking or using the data is that they were not possible before. Like if you have spreadsheets stored in your computer at your firms, either you're a small or big firms, you cannot learn from the other people's experience. Now, safety organizations like SCSA offer industry level, like overarching understanding and knowledge, which is, I think, it is something that we didn't have, like not very long ago, just in a couple of years ago, we didn't have access to this. Now it is like amazing thing that I think is happening.
Ed, if you wouldn't mind, I would just like to sort of, speak to that a little bit as well, because from our perspective, we're experts in VR. We're not experts in safety. We rely on folks like SCSA and folks like that to tell us, what to build, how to build it, and what the problems are that you're experiencing in your industry. And the more data that we can get through, folks like MK and Christian, to be able to tell us where the real problems are and where those real touch points that we really need to address, that can create better products from our perspective and more useful products that are going to solve these problems much greater than, we've sort of, in the past it's been somewhat anecdotal, and I don't want to that's maybe not a little too cavalier, but to be able to say, we know there's a problem with, and I can't get this right, musculoskeletal, whatever it is, Christian. We know there's a problem about that. And so is there a VR solution? And I don't know whether there is or not, but is there a VR solution that can help with that particular problem? And here's why there's a problem. It's when people are doing this, that, or the other thing that creates that problem. And without that data, you're kind of just guessing. And then even further to that is you can start predicting, as you guys are doing, predicting when these things might happen, and get there ahead of time. That's just mind blowing, to be honest with you.
I'll just quickly add, and I feel like all three of us are going to have some sort of business partnership because the concepts are very holistically in tune, right? But I think one thing I'd really challenge the safety professionals here today is to think outside the box. I'll give you an example, just regarding predictive analytics. I believe there was a pilot project in Los Angeles that they're able to use predictive analytics to pinpoint exactly where and when a crime is going to occur, just purely based on data. And they will send a police unit before that crime actually happens as a deterrent, right? And that's mind-blowing, right? I think a lot of people underestimate the power of analytics and what it can be used for, right? And so my challenge to safety professionals is really think outside the box. Think of something absolutely, almost absurd that, we can do with analytics, and then approach firms like, MK's firm at EHS Analytics. They have data scientists that can, work on data sets and see what's possible. So I think that's one takeaway that many of you should go with. So.
And one other thing further to that, that was a great example, Christian. I was thinking about that, but I wasn't sure if that was, the perfect example of that is Facebook. I mean, let's be real. I mean, there's a company that has more data than has ever been assembled in the history of humankind, right? And, we've all experienced that, you go onto your Facebook page and wow, I was just thinking about getting one of those. And I mean, that doesn't just randomly happen. I mean, that is data mined and programmed and predicted that you specifically want to buy this widget at this particular moment in time. And they're getting better and better and better and better at that every single day.
Yeah, the world of predictive analytics is always growing. Christian, if people are maybe struggling to draw a line, what do you think would be some of the advantages of, say, cross-referencing data from a fitness tracker with industry-level injury data?
Yeah, for sure. So, even so within the Fitbits or Apple Watches, they're all called inertial motion sensors. So they include gyroscope, accelerometers, and a bunch of other different ambient or temperature sensors. So they include various types of sensors. What the data from be it Fitbit, wearables, how that can be translated into safety is, for example, based on fatigue, right? What we do is we look at kind of the time of, or I guess the duration of a shift, right? So what we've noticed is in a lot of our pilot projects is when a person starts their shift, there won't be as many high-risk postures as near the end of the shift, right? And so we'll overlay this data and then produce, again, actionable insights in a generated report for the supervisors, right? So does that mean work shifts need to be shorter, or does that mean another worker needs to be put on that job, or does that mean the job task needs some sort of reprocessing, or does that lastly does an ergonomic specialist need to be brought in? So there are quite a few different outcomes that can come out of some of the data that's being produced by these sensors.
Interesting. MK, what would you do with that data?
I can't wait to get my hands on that data. I just build up on the points that Mike and Christian built. I feel that we are all part of a continuum. It's probably just a nerd in me, but it gives me goosebumps when I think about data that comes from wearable technology, goes to the data hub, get analyzed, and then result in effective training that can be implemented. But we are. That is a word that that is the way that we can make real change in the way that the workplace safety is taken care of right now. I believe training will be the main thing that can the leadership and construction owners can affect the safety of the workers, and it's going to be in the foreseeable future. But not just any kind of training. It should be a training that is effective. It should be a training that is proven statistically that is effective. So all of these technologies, all of these data can contribute to that. So we can build those training, stop doing those things that are not effective, add on to that, and make a targeted, timely, engaging trainings. I also, as I said, I think that informing workers, informing people at different levels that why we came up with these decisions, that this was a data-driven decision-making process. It was not an ad hoc, just make a decision, you need to do this, you need to follow this policy, is an important thing. and the data that comes from all these sources can contribute to that.
That's excellent. Mike, Christian, anything to add to that? Okay, move on to the next question then. We're getting close on time here, so I'd just like to ask, what if people want to dip their toes into this world further, what are some good books or blogs or podcasts or forums or articles that you'd recommend reading? And Mike, I'll start with you this time.
Certainly I think, pay attention to your industry associations like SCSA and those kinds of things, because you guys in particular are dipping your toes into these kinds of things as kind of an industry leader. And then just also, from our perspective in the world of VR and AR and that sort of stuff, just be aware of the tech blogs that are out there. This stuff is, some of this stuff is like super bleeding edge, and that's, you got to kind of watch out for that. But, there still is stuff that's, promoted that, you can't even buy, but, but I would say just be aware that this technology is in existence. It is being used today. It's being used effectively today. And you should really seriously consider, taking part in and using those sort of training techniques, whether you do that through an industry association or whether, a training company or if you're large enough doing it on your own, whatever. It doesn't have to be, massively expensive anymore. It's going to cost something, but it's not massively expensive like it was. A lot of these, the technology, the hardware is becoming, as I said earlier, very, very easy to use and very mobile and very less cumbersome than it was, a few years ago.
Okay, Christian, I'll ask you the same question.
Yeah, for sure. And so Mike, what Mike had mentioned, a lot of the research papers that are coming out are very, very brand new. Like it'll be released on a Friday, like last week, and Saturday night I'm reading the PhD paper just to get an understanding. But there's some really great videos on YouTube right now. One of the silver linings of COVID has been that there are conferences like this that have been recorded and shared with the rest of the world on various platforms. I think another great resource would be ohsonline.com and then also ohscanada.com, two very reputable websites that post often about innovation in our industry. I also regularly post thought leadership articles on my LinkedIn page regarding innovative technology being used, especially in infrastructure. So feel free to add me up. Like I said, I do post regularly on there. So
MK?
I would say follow SCSA on LinkedIn. SCSA is one of the tech-savvy association out there, and also this was one of the challenges actually what we had when we started this journey, that explaining some of these stuff to the people was not enough. So we actually started a blog in our website that we share our research results, our ideas, as well as other people's ideas, and all the latest developments in the world of the safety and the technology in the safety, AI in safety. We also have guest writers. Ed contributed to our blog a couple of times. He talked about the effectiveness of core and how it can prevent injury, serious injuries. Also, we had Mark Cooper, President and CEO of the Saskatchewan Construction Associations there as a guest writer. I also would connect with Christian and Mike and bug them until they accept to be our guest writers in our blog too. But LinkedIn, I come from Board of University. I've been a researcher and instructor at university. I know that the university research sometimes has a hard time to get a connection with the people at the industrial level. I live that world and I know that the struggle. So blogs like our blog and LinkedIn and associations are that part that can make that connection happen. So I absolutely encourage you to check out our blog in our our website. Supply link also works. It's going to take you to our website. So check our website.
So we'll just go ahead and wrap things up. We have Senator Pam Wallen waiting for us in the plenary room. So I'd like to thank you all, Christian, Mike, MK, for joining us. Thanks to everybody who participated in the audience.
Thanks a lot, Ed. It's great to be here.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much.